This shed needs a tidy up. It's 9:20 in the morning. It's super, super warm. Yesterday it got to 31 degrees Celsius. I felt like I wanted to say centigrade. Do we ever say centigrade nowadays? I'm sure growing up it was centigrade. The temperature was always centigrade. And then suddenly it was Celsius. Am I remembering that correctly? Was it always centigrade? And then it wasn't. Anyway, 31 degrees Celsius yesterday. I don't think today is due to get as hot, but I think it's getting to at least 28, possibly 29 from memory. So I thought I'll get over early, but it's so hot already. Super humid, sticky. Obviously I brought my flask so I could have a hot tea. I have cloves and ginger in it. Big old pieces of ginger. Does anyone else do that? No, just me then. So I'm really excited because I'm going to give you a tour. This is my early August tour of my allotment. The weather has made it pretty tough. Staying on top of the watering has been really hard. But anyway, I'm going to give you a tour, show you what I've got growing. I've also got an additional bit of my allotment now, which needs a lot of work doing on it. So I've got a patch at either side of the allotment, just to make watering even harder. I think maybe we'll start at the far end and work our way back. Yeah, let's do that. I'll take my knife with me in case there's anything to harvest. I feel like there might be a few courgette. There's always courgette. So this sorry old mess here, full of weeds, is my new plot. So here it is. I've got a bed here and then two quite large beds and three small beds over there. I have got a little bit of room. I think I could put a little pond in a pot, maybe. There's loads of frogs around here because there is water along here. We have newts as well, so maybe that's an idea. Ultimately, I'm hoping that there's going to be grass all around here. At the moment, it's just soil, which is fine while we're in a drought. But knowing this country, when the rain comes, we'll just have rain non-stop for 6 weeks and it will just be an absolute mud bath. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do in the interim and when, if I'm going to put some grass seeds down. Yeah, lots to think about. Okay, so beyond the bed I have here with my little globe artichoke in, I have quite a large bed with 2 pumpkins. No sign of anything on this one yet. There is a pumpkin growing on this one though. There he is. Still quite little. Got a lot of growing to do. Try and just train it so it stays in the bed. So you need to grow this way. So it's a huge bed, so there's loads of room for the pumpkins to grow. And then down here is another bed. This is still all covered over. I don't know what it's looking like underneath. Hopefully pretty weed free, but not the greatest soil. So many weeds. 1, 2, 3, 4 little raised beds. Just pull these up while I'm here. The soil's really loose, so they just come up really easily. Oh, the dreaded bindweed. I don't seem to have any in my allotment plot over there, so it was inevitable that I was going to find some at some point. My luck had to run out. Broken up bits of CDs. I think this must have been hung up as a way to deter the birds. And just plastic, bits of plastic everywhere. This here is sweet potato. I didn't originally have any intention of growing sweet potato. It's just that I saw some at a garden centre and it was heavily reduced. I think it was £1 per plant, reduced from $6.99. So I thought I'll go for it. And it's done really, really well. So this one is violet, Erato violet. And the leaves are looking luscious. Sweet potato is completely different from normal potato. Actual sweet potatoes are the swollen roots of the plant, and it's more of a vine in the bindweed family, I think. Sun loving, that's why it's so happy. And then next to it is the other sweet potato plant that I bought, which isn't doing so well, but it still looks pretty healthy. And this is Vineland Salmon Orange. A few weeds, get them up while I'm here. Bit of old rope. Next to my sweet potatoes, I have 2 very large round courgette plants. Yep, that one's ready. I've got one to harvest. A new knife from Amazon, $4.99. Look at that flower. Beautiful. This here, I think, is ready to harvest. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Round courgette. Grown from seed with seeds from Lidl. So thank you, Lidl. Are there any more? Oh yes, I think so. Is that one ready? I think it might be. I think that's done. I did read that they should be about tennis ball size when you pick them. So although it feels like it's really small compared to how big they get, I think this is a good size. And next to my courgettes, I've planted a rhubarb plant. And this will obviously take over the whole of this bed and just live here permanently. But you're doing very well. But I think rhubarb always does well. So just at the end of this plot, there is another huge water butt that's just there and available for me. I do need to level it up, and the taps come off, so it needs sealing and filling. But hopefully I can get that up and running. That'll make life a bit easier, having a water butt down here. Although it's not too far from the water, if I can get it operational, then the plot owner from just behind me can use it as well. I call him Mr. Bean Man, the Bean Man. He just grows beans. He's very nice and we chat a lot, but too much time has passed now for me to be able to ask him his name. So he's just the Bean Man. Also, I don't know why there's a barbecue stood on it. So I do love this new plot, but apparently it does flood. So this village does flood at least a few times a year, and apparently there is some flooding over here, and this bed here does get washed out. There's not really a lot I can do about it. It is what it is. Any tips from anybody would be welcome. But I think maybe I'll just make the raised bed, maybe try and make it a bit taller and see what happens. Fabulous globe artichoke there, which is what I want mine to be like. So this was supposed to be a raised bed for flowers, for cutting and drying. I make lots of dried flower displays and wreaths, and they cost a lot of money to buy, so I thought I'll grow my own. I do grow a lot of my own anyway in the garden and dry them, but I thought I'll just have a beautiful patch at the allotment. It'll bring in the pollinators, everybody can share them, just help themselves for cut flowers. And it's just been a disaster. The frost was the first thing to attack, and it's just been so dry. The soil is terrible. I think it's actually hydrophobic because no matter how much you water it, it never seems to get to the roots. I have had some dahlias, but it actually doesn't look too bad. But considering how much I planted, how much has died, anyway, we live and learn. I wonder if you can hear the clock, the church chimes. Must be 10 o'clock. This bed here is affectionately known as the giraffe enclosure. Can you guess why? So I've got quite a mixed array of stuff in here. First of all, I have my sweet corn. Since planting them, I've learned a lot about sweet corn. And the first thing is I've learned just planting them in 2 rows is not ideal because they need to pollinate, and I think they mostly wind pollinate and they need a lot of it. And I think that's why you plant them in boxes, in squares. And every little tassel, from what I understand, needs to be pollinated. So for my first year, if I get even one, I will be delighted. And I'll be armed with much more information, ready for next year. Yeah, there's a lot I would do differently, but I'm still proud of it. I grew them all from seed, but yeah, a different setup for next year, definitely. I think I'd get them in the ground a bit earlier as well. I think I was a bit late this year. Okay, next to my sweet corn, in here, which is where I actually had some peas originally, is my parsnip. There's my parsnips. They're not in this netting for any particular reason. It's just that I haven't taken it down from the peas. And it just helps identify that I've got different rows of things, because next to them I've got some leeks, which hardly grew for ages, and they finally just started to grow. So they're looking pretty healthy, I think. I think leeks are pretty slow growers. And next to it, got another courgette. I think that might be another round courgette. And this, I'm not convinced I don't remember even planting this, but I guess it's a courgette as well. So also in this bed, in addition to the sweet corn, parsnip, courgette and leeks, I have a row of celery, which, from what I can tell, is doing pretty well. I've never grown it before, but this is the biggest one here. Now I know you can, some people tie them just loosely, just so they grow together in a bunch and it keeps them straight. So I might do that. But they look good. And then last but not least, I have my asparagus. This year, I planted them last year, but they were 1-year-old crowns when I planted them. And I just very lightly harvested them this year. They didn't produce a lot anyway, but I think next year I should be able to get a full harvest. But the sun rises behind me and comes round, so that's south. So as these get bigger, they will cast quite a shadow over the other half of this bed. So I'm kind of wondering whether I need to dig them up and maybe just move them to the other side of the bed. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I shouldn't have planted them there. Anywho, that's a problem for another day. Moving on. So in this bed, I'm continuing the theme of having a mixed array of stuff. And to start with, I've got a couple of chive plants. I absolutely love chives, and they're just so pretty when they flower, those little sort of purple, I guess they're alliums. They're so lovely. And you can eat the flower as well. I didn't realise that. So I have another row of leeks. The leeks are along here. Luckily the rabbits don't eat them, but I did read that they can be poisonous to rabbits. So I think if they were starting to eat them, I'd have to cover them. But they seem to leave them alone, so that's good. This is empty. It did have radishes in it, but they either dried out and turned to dust or I managed to grab them quick and eat them. But I love radishes. I love the taste of them, and they're so easy to grow, and I think you can grow them pretty much any time of year. So I'm definitely going to grow some more. Next to the empty radish bed here, I've got some beetroot growing, and then another round courgette plant here, obviously. This frame had some cabbages in, so it's pretty much empty now. I've got a leek that bolted, but I've just left it for the flower, for the pollinators. And I've just got some marigolds in there. Then I have my wooden archway. And this side, I've got my Jack Be Littles growing. And this side, my tromboncinos are growing. So I'm hoping they're going to meet in the middle. I think this guy's ready for picking. I wish the pigeons would stop pooing on my leaves. Is there anywhere else to poo? Look at that. If you leave them, they do grow a lot bigger. But I think they're supposed to taste nicer while they're still quite small. But I've never tried one before, so I'll add it to the trug. with a broken watch, a glove and 2 round courgettes. I found a few extra courgette plants at home. I actually gave loads away, but I just have tons of them. I think they're courgette, or they might be tromboncino, I don't know. But I've just planted them up and I've got a couple of courgettes just over there. But this maypole situation here had my beans and they did really well. I had to put this chicken wire down to protect them while they were little, because we have so many rabbits here, the rabbits would just eat them. But they've finished now. I've just left the plant and some of the beans just to dry off so I can collect the beans and use them for next year. This is the maypole frame. And the beans are just drying off. I also grew my potatoes in here. They were just all mixed in with the beans. But I've harvested all of those now, although I feel like I've probably missed a few. But I still have potatoes at home, which I will show you in a minute. Next to that bed is my fruit cage, which is basically a polytunnel frame wrapped in some netting. But I don't know what happened this year, but no matter how much I watered it, the strawberries all died. I got about 2 strawberries and the raspberries are just super, super crispy. We just need rain. I thought they were pretty sun-loving, but they've just struggled. It's all just pretty crispy. And then these are my strawberries. I just can't believe it. And finally, I have 2 raised beds here at the end. This one here has netting that I've got stapled on. And if we look inside, I have some very hot and sad looking chard. I mean, I have watered them, but I think the heat and the sort of lack of airflow, I think the heat's getting to them. We'll see if they make it. Any eagle-eyed viewers will notice that this is the frame that we made in the last video, but it has changed because the legs used to be inside the raised bed, but we've lengthened it a bit. And then outside, it was just really tricky trying to fold a net underneath, and we thought that they would rot a lot quicker as well. Just sat in wet soil over the winter, and of course all of the treated wood, all of the sort of the wood stain would just leach into the soil as well, which probably isn't great. I'm in my garden at home. I'm actually in my lean-to greenhouse, and it's the next day and it is scorching. I think it's about 28, 29 degrees, but it's a lot hotter in here. Let me check the thermometer. It's 39.8 in here. Whew. So basically in here I have my melon Amir. I've actually got 3 plants in one tub and all of the plants have done really well, so it's probably a bit overcrowded, but this is where we are. So these are my melon Amir plants. So they're getting pretty tall. As you can see, there are, I think there's 3. 1, 2, oh no, maybe it's just 2. Okay, it's actually just 2 plants in here, but there is a melon starting to form down here. And ooh, there's another one there. Little one here, but it's going crazy. It's putting out shoots all over the place. Got one here. Probably need to put a few more supports out. But so far, it's doing really well. Then over here are my cucamelons. Sorry, that's my kombucha. And I just don't know if it's too hot for these. I don't know if they're a bit stressed with the heat. They are growing, but really, really slowly. I do have another, I've actually got another couple down here on the ground. Not a whole lot happening. They still seem very small and delicate. We will see. I'll keep an eye on them. It might just be too hot in here. Then down here, I bought this from the garden centre, and it's chili pepper loco. And I just couldn't resist it because it just looked so cool. It was $3.99, and they're medium chilies, so we don't actually eat a lot of chilies. We have a few, and I just couldn't resist it. And then next to that, I've got 2 pepper plants. This one did produce a pepper, but it just started to rot as soon as it was growing, so that didn't come to anything. But I'm hopeful because there is some more growth, and this one's really big. It's got some flowers at the top, so but I have to just keep watering it. Sometimes a couple of times a day, because they're in quite small pots and they just dry out so quickly. Again, you can see it's already drooping. It's just been so hot. But I've been keeping the door open. Right, let's get outside. Here I had various flowers that just have collapsed in the heat. It's just been too hot. But here, I actually bought this from a car boot sale, and they just called it, just had this in it, gherkin. So it is flowering, and it's looking pretty healthy, so we'll see what happens with that. And here I've got some sunflowers, I've got some tomatoes. These are a really small, compact variety, and it says that they're ideal for small pots and hanging baskets. That one looks like it's ready. Whoops. Nice warm tomato. Tastes delicious. This is a dahlia, still to flower. Here we've got some more tomatoes. I think this is 2 different types, but they are starting to grow. Everything seems very delayed in the garden at home. I think I was late planting things, but also I think the heat has just delayed everything. And next to the tomatoes, I have some sweet peas and a cucumber plant. I think these are some marigolds. And I've got 2 tubs of carrots. These are mixed carrots, and this is half compost, half horticultural sand. And they're quite deep pots. I think they're 30 litres. So fingers crossed, they've got lots of room to get nice and big. We have a plum tree in the garden. Unfortunately, every year there always seems to be maggots in the plums. Well, I was saying that this one looks okay. There's normally little telltale holes around and about. But we still always have loads regardless. just back from the greenhouse on the crispy lawn is just a random bit of rhubarb we've got there. My husband does mow it every year, but it's so tough and resilient. We get to the point where we just let it grow. Oh, can you hear that bird? You can identify what bird sound that is. Got an apple tree here. We've got quite a few apple trees. This is an eater, and these apples are really, really lovely. This used to be grass. These are my potatoes. I was hoping to harvest them soon, but they're still super green and luscious, so I don't think they're quite ready yet. And next to it is my blueberry plant with a single blueberry. But it's grown a lot this year. And next to that is another cucumber plant, which I don't think there's any cucumbers yet. I think there's a tiny one here just forming. And just next to the potatoes is a pear tree. And this is the first year since we planted it of actually getting some pears. So I'm really excited about that. They look lovely. Here, these are cooking apples, and they are micro apples this year. I think it's because of the drought and the heat, but they're a fraction of the size they normally are. But I haven't tried any, so I don't know how they taste. But yeah, I think this tree is really struggling. It's obviously super crispy. I nearly forgot, we've actually got a cherry tree as well. We planted this, I think, about 3 years ago, and this is the first year that we had any cherries. We did have it netted, but we picked all of the cherries and then just left a few for the birds. The wind has suddenly picked up at this point, so I need to do a voiceover because you couldn't hear me. But these are my sprouts, and I'm growing them at home because I'm waiting for some netting to arrive before I plant them over at the allotment. Now I know sprouts hate having their roots disturbed, so I'm hoping they'll be okay when I do move them. I have to wipe away caterpillar eggs several times a day. In the planter next to the sprouts, I bought a 3 for 2 offer at the garden centre. So at the back here is a cola plant, which smells exactly like those sweets, cola cubes. And in front of that is my stevia plant. That is so unbelievably sweet. I've never cooked with it, but I do plan to try. I think that in the middle is some parsley popping up, and next to that is sage, which just grows ferociously. And then next to that is my chocolate mint, and I cannot explain how delicious it smells. There we go, mint chocolate. It is so lovely. And finally, the last thing that I have growing in my garden is something that I bought from B&M a couple of days ago. So it was £16.50, reduced to £6, but it is this, and I need to research it properly, but I think it's showing that is persimmons. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I thought it was fabulous. So I couldn't resist getting that, and I don't suppose anything really will happen with it this year, but I need to get it potted into a bigger pot, check how to look after it, and see what next year brings. And there you have it, a tour of my allotment and garden and everything that I'm growing at the moment. It may not be as amazing as I thought it might be, but I've only been growing for a year, or just over a year. I think I got my allotment about June last year, but I have learnt so much. And again, just this year, there's so many things that I will do differently next year. But all in all, for just after a year of growing, and with it being such a difficult summer, I think we're now officially in heatwave number 5. So it has been tough. Keeping on top of the watering has been really, really tough. And I think I was quite late planting some things out this year. But all in all, I am very happy with how it's all turned out. And it's still going. I mean, I've still got lots of things growing, lots of harvesting to do. Heiko's come to see me. Hello, hello. So I've still got lots to do. Ugh, ugh, yuck. I better put these dogs back inside. It's far too hot. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to just see what this month brings. Take care.